Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John and special resident, his Dark Materials expert, Kyle. So I don't know completely what they're going to be talking about. I have not read the books, but this is going to be, they're saying, spoilers / heavy spoilers territory, not to the main plot line, but subplot lines they may or may not get into in this final season. So know that when you're going in, but they're saying it's not going to ruin anything major for me, so hopefully it won't for you as well if you decide to listen. So go ahead.
All right, so we're going to talk about the authority in this video.
The authority is the name of the deity that they worship, and the Magisterium is the organization.
The authority in their world is basically God, right? They just call him the authority. And
yes, I'd say it's safe to say.
And the writer does some really like twisting to what we know of the biblical stories, basically, and how in Lyra's world, or in the book's world in general, the way the universe is created and stuff is very not twisted, but it's just like a parallel universe to the story we know. How about that? Is that right to say, Kyle?
Yeah, let's just say that in Lyra's world, we're going to get into some pretty mystical stuff. We're going to use some language here.
We are.
So Nick, you could say that the emanation of God's creation manifested a slightly different way in Lyra's world as opposed to ours.
Exactly. So basically, we know about dust, right? And we all know that angels are formed from dust. Well, if you don't know, now you know. Angels are dust.
Spoiler.
No, it's not. It's mentioned. It's mentioned in season 2, episode 2. Like, angels are formed from dust, right? So the authority in their world was basically the first angel. And the first angel started giving himself titles as Yahweh, God, and he started making up this world, not world, but rules for people to follow and the way the universe is supposed to be governed. And that's where the churches, that's where they take their belief and they force their belief upon other people. But really, that's not really how the world was created and stuff. And that's why Lord Asriel wants to take down the authority, because the authority is a lie. How about that,
Kyle?
It's an
interpretation, then. It sounds more like it's an interpretation. Yeah. It's a lie or interpretation of what really happened.
Well, no. Well, it's a lie about everything's like a lie. The authority, what the authority created in the world is a lie to what really exists. Like the idea of he's the almighty, all-powerful ruler and stuff. He's not. He just happens to be the first angel.
Yeah, in the dim, untold ages of the universe, before there was any civilization or sentient beings even, he usurped power. So he's technically, from our perspective, he's always been the authority or God, right? But there was a time before where he was not, and he took it, right? So now we're dealing with coming into that knowledge that, oh wait, he's just trying to hold, like a greedy dictator is still trying to hold on to power.
So I'm curious, in the books, when they're explaining all this, I've always wanted to read the Stephen King's book because it's supposed to be a great story, but it's supposed to get crazy, acid trip. He was on all kinds of drugs. I mean, is this really hard stuff to read, or is it explained in a way where it comes across pretty understandably?
It is not. Remember, his Dark Materials trilogy is a young adult's book.
Okay. So
it's very digestible.
Which is when you can convey that deep of material in a very understandable way. That's a true master craftsman of the whatever craft they're in. Like when you can do something like that, and explain it in a very understandable way, that's impressive for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably one of the benefits of it is he doesn't necessarily go into a bunch of filler explanation as to what the sort of eschatology of everything is, right? But basically just makes you curious, right? I remember when I was a kid and I was reading, I was like, oh, that's interesting, and sort of seeking out some of that knowledge, right? Just that, yeah.
And that's what's so cool about like the alethiometer, which we talked about in a different episode about matter and how they communicate. It's always the truth that's coming from them and stuff. And that's why like so much of the story revolves around truth and breaking down the old authoritarian walls, you know what I mean? And or what the world is was forced to believe and ways to believe. So it's going to be an epic season 3. John, do you understand a little bit better now about the authority?
Yeah, and I don't think this is stuff. I mean, obviously I haven't read the books, but I don't feel like this is stuff that even if they do go into this in season 3, it's going to be so quickly brushed over because they just want to keep the main. In this particular story, this is Lyra and Will's story for the most part, so I don't think they would go that deep into stuff. This almost feels like if you were, what's the book for Lord of the Rings? It's all the background
stuff. The Silmarillion.
Stuff. Yeah, this feels like this would be that type of, you could fill a whole book with this stuff. Like they talk in another video, they talked about the guild and things like this is all like they're saying this could be its own. So this feels to me like this could be its own installment as well. So it's really, really fun stuff that just kind of like you guys were saying in hopes it did just kind of filled in between the lines of what I'm probably not going to give in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in fact, if there are any inquiring minds out there, probably some of the best analogous source material that Philip Pullman was also influenced by, you guys should probably check out John Milton's Paradise Lost.
Yes.
And
that's
and
a hard read, though. That's a hard read.
Yeah, and also for the lighter readers, the poet William Blake. He was influenced by those.
Which is really cool too. I think he quotes William Blake in book 3 a lot, like with his poems and stuff.
I think he quotes both of those.
And the Bible. He quotes the Bible quite a bit too, which is really cool because you kind of see where he's drawing his inspirations from and stuff like that too. And then,
if you guys decide to go down the Paradise Lost path, you might. I don't think they have Cliff Notes anymore. You want to get a summarization as well. It's all poetry. You have to read a paragraph and sit and think of what they read. It's intense reading for sure, but really cool subject matter though. One of my favorite. Yeah.
That's all. Yes, the Magisterium has totally drank the Kool-Aid when it comes to the authority. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and they're 100% willing to do whatever it takes. Like there's even moments in the books where they have people, what is called penance, basically, where they punish themselves to the point so they're allowed to murder. So there's like people that have punished themselves so much where it's like, oh, I'll go kill someone. Like they're already like, I'm like, just like, this is what the heck is this craziness, man?
They figured out the sin bank, right? Like, you can do penance, and if you make enough deposits, you can withdraw to do an unspeakable act, right? Like kill someone.
And it's just so crazy. They're so brainwashed by the authority where that doesn't even happen. Like when you die, it's so interesting. They're going to go into season 3 and book 3, like the whole what happens when you die and stuff, and it's nothing what they believe. Isn't that crazy, Kyle?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's I mean, well, we know why the Magisterium is doing what they're doing predominantly, right? Which is, sure, their belief has something to do with it, but they just want to maintain power, like every regime in pretty much all of history has tried to do, right? And we do know that in Lyra's world, the Magisterium has a lot more control than the current church in our
Catholic
world
Church
does, right?
or different religious beliefs. Yeah, it's.
I mean, that's still changed in fairly recent times. If you go back even 20 years when these books were being written, it was still a little bit different back then too, right? I mean, so you go back quite a bit more. The church did that had the kind of before literacy really
crusades and all that
took
stuff.
Sway. Yeah.
It's interesting, because in the books they don't really talk about how pervasive the Magisterium's authority is. We know in a European sense that they're pretty powerful, but the entire world, they're kind of vague, right? So in a way, you could be right, John. It does tie to how the Catholic Church was pretty much absolute authority back in the Middle Ages.
And dictating everything to you by who read to you, because literacy hadn't really caught on yet. Yeah.
I think there's even a character in Russia in book 3 that Will bumps into, like even all the way in Russia, the authority or the whole belief is so ingrained all the way to all the far-reaching parts of the world in Lyra's world, it feels like.
Oh the Muscovy guy
with the vodka.
That guy. I hope we get to see
I know,
him.
Me too, but I don't know. His part's so small and creepy. Follow Kyle on Instagram. He's an amazing artist. Go check out his work.
Yes.
He's more than just an expert at his dark materials. He's an expert artiste, and he has really cool art on there. And if you guys want to message or reach out to him and just tell him how great his artwork is, and tell him you came from AsArt, that would be awesome. That would be so awesome.
All right, guys. So a lot of fun, at least for me, a lot of fun backstory that we're probably not going to get in the show. Again, this is kind of making me more excited to go and read the books, listen to an Audible and things like that. Hopefully it's the same for you. If there's topics you think that'll be fun for Kyle and Nick to cover that would be fun for me to hear about, I'd love to hear that as well. So hit that down in the comments. And we'll see you on the next AsArt. Woo!